talk about due diligence. Okay, so I'm going to drop a file into our group. Let's just bring it up here. This is something that's been around. It's been in the JK group. It's been in other places. This is the Home Advisor list of how much they pay in 2020. These are the averages. Okay, so this will be available to you guys in our group. You can grab it. Okay, so here's some of the original criteria that I'm going to look at when I'm trying to select a niche. Okay, now I'm going to go through here and I'm going to kind of be balancing this. You know, you should be able to open up this in an Excel file, and then you could probably sort by average ticket price. But you want to look at this because obviously you're going to want leads that are going to be more valuable, right? And you want to balance this with a few different things. So let's look at this one, computer repair. It has a $22 lead cost. It's not that I hate this $22 lead cost, but what I hate is the price for computer repair, right? That's, what is that, $100, $200, depends. I guess it depends, like if there's a part that you have to replace, but it's not a really profitable business model for most people. The ones that have higher dollars, like this one, home theater system or media center install, like their profit margin is, there's a correlation between this cost and the ticket price, obviously, right? No one's going to pay $100 for a service that costs $110. So this is probably a $1,500 service or something. If they're paying $100, maybe more. I don't know what that is, but I would be paying attention to that. So this is a great resource for looking at that, but it's also a way to get off the beaten path of common niches. This is not one you want to go into, right? Locksmith. And look at this. So auto glass, right? Another thing that I want you guys to consider when you're trying to pick your niche is how hard is it to start a business in this industry? There's going to be a correlation between how hard it is to start a company and how much competition there is. The easier it is, like I think for auto glass, you can go to a class for like a week and you can get your license. And I don't think it's a licensed trade in a lot of states. So the barrier to entry is pretty low for that. It's much harder to start like a, let's keep going down here, cabinet installation company. That's probably harder to start, right? Because it's like you have to have some serious skills. You're not going to learn that in a week. Maybe you are if you're just installing them, but if you're actually designing them, that's a whole nother thing. So keep that in mind. There's also equipment that's going to be necessary for, a lot of these niches that's going to keep people out. So like the one that I often use as an example, just to really drive it home, is like a pool installation company. Like it's not, the weekend warrior doesn't just like roll out of bed and I want to start this pool installation company. You got to have like excavators or maybe they're subcontracted. They've got to have stuff in place, and you're almost always going to need a license for that. So the competition is going to go down. The leads are going to be really valuable. So this is a great resource for finding things that you probably wouldn't think to do, like an outdoor mist cooling system. This may be like really easy to rank for. I don't know. Maybe that could be a good niche. I don't think it's worth. I don't know what the installation costs on that, but I like to target at least $750 minimum ticket price. That's kind of like where I want to be. So this list is going to give you a ton of ideas of potential niches. Okay, so that's a great starting spot. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to look at cities by population, United States. Okay, so you can do this. I know you Aussies, you could also be running your stuff here as well. Like I would almost recommend for the people in Australia, I've heard that it's a lot better to do lead gen in the United States than it is to do Australia. So, I was in Spain and I was growing my lead gen business in the United States as well. So I know that it's absolutely possible. So now I've got a list of all the cities by population. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here to like, let's go to like 100, somewhere around here. So Tacoma. I'm going to start to work my way up. I'm going to look at these cities that are in this area. So I'm not going to go after like these ones up at the top here because they're probably going to be more competitive. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Bright Local. So this is a free service. I'll put this in the in our chat here, and I'll put it in the Facebook chat as well. Okay, cool. So let's say I look at that list. I'm just going to pick a random one off of that. And I just lost it. Yeah, 1 second, guys. I lost my Home Advisor. Okay, there it is. Okay, so let's look through one that looks attractive to me. Deck and porch, this right here. Look at this, $73, $91. Okay, so now we need to know what the term is that we're gonna want. So let's go over here to Google real quick, and I'm just gonna type in deck. I'll type. This is what I would search for. So that's gonna be my first term. Is I'm gonna type in deck builder. And I'm going to look at the ideas down here for related search. Okay. If you guys have a tool, like earlier I had Ahrefs open, that would be another spot you can go. If any of you guys are running ads, I really like the keyword planner tool. So let's just search for like deck builder near me or something like this. We can start to get some volume. Deck builder near me. So usually when you see near me after something, this will also have good search volume, deck builder on its own. So just for this, you can see right here, 9,200 searches a month for deck builder. Okay, that's the best term. Or maybe it's not. Maybe there's another, deck construction. I don't know. But let's pretend that like that's a lot of search volume, deck builder, 9,200 a month. I'm fine with ranking well for that. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to choose. So what Bright Local does is it allows you to do a clean search as if you're in this location. But unlike the heat map, it's only going to give you pick one spot. But I need something to get me into the heat map. That's what I'm looking for. Is I need like a company to start with in the heat map. Okay, so I think one of the cities we had was Tacoma, right? I believe Tacoma is in Washington, right? Is that right? Tacoma, Washington. Yeah. Okay. So we got 217,000 people in Tacoma, Washington. So I'm going to just do a search now for deck builder. And then I'm going to put over here, I'm going to do Tacoma, WA. So it's going to pick some centralized location to perform this search. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to wait for it. Now what I need to do is I need to click on this and it's going to show me the search results. Okay, so this is what they look like. We've got people running ads. That's great. I love to see that. People are willing to pay for stuff. We already know that based on that elusive PDF, that it's between like $70 and $92 for a lead average across it. That's a good size number. Like you sending 100 leads a month, that's almost $10,000 in leads, right? So maybe hard to get 100 leads in Tacoma. I don't know. Hold on 1 second. We got an issue. Okay, there we go. This is the one we were looking at, right? Look at this. This is what I'm looking for. Deck builders, the first company, and we don't know, this is only one spot on the map. Remember, we don't know like if this is really the top ranking company. So this is where lead generated comes into play. But I love to see that at least in one spot on the map, that this company with no reviews is ranking first. And this company is ranking third. So there's two on here that Dr. Dex looks like he may be the top dog in town because his thing's here. You can actually see this is an inner page that's ranked for him, Tacoma-Dex. Okay, so I'm going to choose Dr. Dex because it's my suspicion that he's probably going to be ranking better than these other two ones based on the fact that he has reviews and he's the #1 organic for this term. So now what I'm going to do is what this is about is I want to get to his heat map. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to look for Dr. Dex. How did he have that in there? It's really weird that it's not giving me any results. Okay, so that's it. Tacoma, Washington right here. We've got his GMB up. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to use this to go back into the heat map. Right, so I'm just grabbing his map URL. So the reason I'm doing this is not that I necessarily care about his ranking, but what I want to know is I want to know how tough the top person in town is, and I want to identify who that is. So it was deck builders, right? Was our term. Let me just double check that. I have that right. Deck builder. Okay. So I'm going to do exactly that term, deck builder. I'm going to set this to be 1 mile to start. I'm going to adjust this once it gets out there. Just make sure I get Tacoma.
Sorry, Patrick, wasn't the name of that GMB different than the one you just searched?
No, this is it right here, right? Dr. Dex.
Dr. Dex, yeah.
8 reviews. If we go back here, Dr. Dex, 8 reviews.
Oh, gotcha. I'm sorry. I thought you were doing Tacoma deck builders. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we can see that the map kind of drew a pretty good job of Tacoma, but I think we can just, oh, that's really close to Seattle, huh? Which is great. That's another thing I really like to see is when there's like big cities because here's what's going to happen in my mind is I'm going to take over this Tacoma area and I'm going to find a client that wants to grow. And then I'm going to go after Seattle next. And and when that happens, Seattle's probably a bigger city, I think, higher, and Olympia down there. So there's some I want to find a client where I can take over multiple cities because I want to turn this client into a $7,000 a month client. And to do that, I'm going to take over all of these cities. So it's great when you find these like big cities that are next to each other, but when they're not so big where it's like, they have a few 100,000 people, or it's not like a million city next to a million, right? Which are like, LA, for instance, it's just going to be like huge city after huge city. This one seems like it's going to be a little bit more isolated, but there's still some big cities. So I would want to take over all of these cities. So I'm going to start it like this. Okay, so we'll give this thing a second. Hopefully we don't get stuck down. Okay, it's already starting, which is great. So this isn't necessarily, as I'm saying, this isn't necessarily to see how this guy's ranking. What I want to see is the average. I want to see who's number one, and then I'm going to dive down and do my due diligence on that company, whoever number one is, whether this is Dr. Dex or whether it's like that other Tacoma site. So some of the stuff I'm going to do is I'm going to look at, let's just dive in to Dr. Dex, and you guys can perform this same, pretend that Dr. Dex came out on top, right? So this is a lot about what we were just going through when we were looking at David's stuff, is I'm looking for a site like that big red metal site. I would love to see a site like that where I'm just like, these guys did a bad job. So one of the things that I'm going to do, I'm going to turn on my little Majestic thing. This is free. Hold on one second. You have to spell it right. Okay, so this is a free plugin. You don't need a subscription. Why does it always do that? All right, cool. So it's going to make me authenticate real quick. So it's going to say this, prove you're not a robot. I've heard that some people outside the United States have had issues getting this to work. And I think there's ways around it. I think maybe if you use a VPN, you might be able to get it to work. I am the worst person in the world at this CAPTCHA stuff. So we might be here for 10 minutes trying to get sorted through this thing. All right, cool, I got it right. Okay, so this is going to give me this backlink profile, and I can see that Dr. Dex has an 8 and a 28. So I personally would like to know more information, but for those of you guys that are still trying to get ramped up, I know that there's a lot of new people on this call. Maybe you don't have the Ahrefs subscription, but we can get some cursory data here. 8, trust flow of 8, that's not high, okay? He's got 111 backlinks, which is like, that's not too bad. That's a good amount of backlinks, right? But they're not very strong if he's got 111 and there's only 8 here. So we're going to dive in and look at the content that he has on his page, which this is not a lot of content, right? Look at this. There's barely any here. Another good tool that you guys might like that I use when I'm doing my due diligence is the word count tool, which is this little weird ribbon thing here. Where did it go? I don't know why it's not showing right now. Let me just check something here. What it does is it usually puts a little item in here, but we can just easy enough. I'm going to just look at this and copy this text, and then you can just go here and type in word count tool and paste this in here. But I'm guessing he has less than 500 words, somewhere around there, less than 500 words on this page. And this is including things like the footer and the navigation in it. So he's got 900 words on here, but I think if you deleted some of this like nonsense that's not really terms or anything, then, you know, I don't know how much actual content he has, right? So not a ton of words though. Like if we deleted, I don't know, I bet he's got 500 or 600 real words on here where it's actually content. He's just got a lot of like list of other pages and things that aren't going to contribute a lot so much towards it. You can also see he's got like spelling errors and stuff throughout this page, which Google is absolutely going to consider. I'm going to do a site index on his site, and I'm going to see the pages, and I want to look at his meta title. So he's got 20 pages potentially indexed in here. He's using Dr. Dex a few times. He's got about, so it looks like he's got some, maybe these are keywords in this niche. I don't think they're going to be the top keywords that people are searching for. So I think there's some weakness there. You can see there's the Tacoma Dex page. He's obviously done a better job than Big Red Metals did. He's actually got 18 pages. So if you click on the second page, you can see he's got deck in there quite a bit. I like that he's got this 3D design that looks legit when you start seeing stuff like that. And I think Google looks at this stuff in like through a different lens when you like start talking about tools and this type of thing. He's going over patio cover. So he's done an okay job of writing the meta for this. So now let's go back here, and now our heat map is done, right? So I'm just going to refresh this and make sure it says completed. So the information I was after is this averages. This is like what I wanted. So Dr. Dex is not the top person in town. We know that it's actually this company. So Dr. Dex is ranking just slightly worse, 4.05 average, 4.43 average. So just so you guys know, what we're doing is we're taking all the points on this map, we're adding them up and divided by the total number of points. So that's what that average is. So that average is out to be 4.43 for Dr. Dex, which these are going to be pretty similar. Like this guy's not crushing him. So they're probably pretty similar in this. I know that this exists. What this means, and we're going to fix this, that's the ampersand right there. So HDK and Sons is the top person in town. So we could go back to this maps Google here. I know that I'm going fast. HDK and Sons. Looks like this guy has two different GMBs set up. Okay, that's something you're going to want to take into account. If we go back and look at this, I'm curious to see if both of his are ranking. Okay, so it doesn't look like, maybe he's got it set up in a different location and he's not really ranking in this location. But that, to me, the fact that he's got multiple GMBs, there's like some credibility there for me in like thinking that this guy has been smart. Like a lot of people don't even know what one GMB is, but if this guy took it a step further to set up a second one, I still don't think it's going to be really tough. You can see that this site looks like it has more content than the first one in my mind. It looks a little bit better. Let's look at their stuff. This would be a niche that I would be happy to go into. If you guys, anybody's looking for niches out, I think this is weak. I think the leads are going to be worth a lot. And I love the fact that it's next to Seattle and also Olympia. I'd like to see the population for these. Let's see what Seattle's population is. 3.4 million. So that's great because we can go after it, but that's going to be a tougher challenge most likely than Tacoma. So we can start in Tacoma, start to get stuff going in, build a site. I would build a site in Tacoma and in Seattle. I would start with Tacoma, and then I would add Seattle on after I have a paying client, maybe, or maybe just get something up, get like a 2-page site with the home page and the contact page so you can start that aging process, right? Let's look at Olympia. So we got another city right there. We saw that Tacoma was like 217,000 or something, right? Olympia, 53,000. There's just a lot of people that are going to be surrounding this area, which is awesome because there's going to be people in between these cities. Even though that city has like 53,000, you've got this city right next to it that has 217,000 and another one that has 3 million, right? So this is one. If you find a person that can cover this whole area, this could be a $5,000 a month client once you've got this taken over, right? Just so much potential in that, and we can I think Tacoma's weak based on what I've seen, right? I would also be taking these guys. Let's go look at these HDK and Sons people. I'm going to look at their backlink profile. 328. It's pretty weak. Let's put these guys into Ahrefs and see. Let's see like what their backlinks look like. So what you don't want to see is a bunch of like niche relevant backlinks in a strong profile. Big difference between this and Majestic, right? I trust Ahrefs more personally. Okay. You can see these are numbers that I don't like as much. Like I like this, the value or like the difficulty of this niche just went up just a little bit for me when I saw that this is 2127. I still think it's really weak. You can see that their link is coming from Home Advisor. Okay, I didn't even know that they pass those out, but apparently Home Advisor passes out links to everyone because this is a 91 and a 15, as we talked about earlier. Like they're not getting a ton of juice, they're getting some because Home Advisor is like a big brand. This is also a niche relevant link, which is great. This is a lot better than Yellow Pages. You could also see that they have a link from the Better Business Bureau, so they're in there. It looks like they've got a furnace cleaning link. It almost looks like somebody did link building for them and kind of knew to try to get some of this stuff. When I see that they have this like furnace cleaning link, like why would that be there? That I don't know. We got a 301 redirect, which is also like, so that 301 redirect is when you're saying, hey, this is permanently moved to this other location. So they're getting essentially all the links that are coming in. Well, they're just redirecting from the www to the main domain, but just pay attention to this stuff over here. It'll tell you if it's no follow. It doesn't look super tough to me. Okay, I'm not scared of it, but like they do have some niche relevant links like this North Haven remodeling. I still would probably go into it. I'm just a little disappointed that they have niche relevant links where I love to see them not have those. Like we saw the big red metals had Yellow Pages and stuff like that. Like niche relevant links are harder to get, right? And the stronger links are harder to get. So that's why it's important to kind of study some of this backlink stuff as a part of your due diligence. So what I would do is I would go in and I would take this stuff into account and I would go and build my due diligence worksheets in here. So I'm going to create my own worksheet and I'm going to put the stuff that we talked about. I wouldn't necessarily personally use the JK1. I would want to know like, what is like, I want to know the population. I want to know like who the top competitors are, how many pages they have, how many words. Those are some of the things. How many reviews do they have? Okay, so we basically use the heat map to find out that HDK and that Dr. Dex are the two top companies in town. We looked at their various attributes that contribute to their ranking, and we see that they're not very strong. 8 reviews is not that many, right? Like you could get 175 reviews, right, and blow them out of the water. It may take you some time, and it may take you some social engineering on how to create that, but we're able to get people to allow us to mail a postcard to their address. I can imagine we could find a way to get someone to write a few words, right, from this review, especially with the strength of the people in this group. Okay, so that was kind of the due diligence thing that I wanted to cover for today.